everyone, Camille and James here, 88 Fitness Training. Welcome back. Today we're filming a tutorial on the proper form for some of the most popular leg exercises. So definitely stay tuned, check it out. So this video was a special request for one of our subscribers, Keenan. Yeah, so Keenan had asked us to film a series of some of the most popular exercise and then show the proper form. So this video is going to be all focused on some of the best leg exercises for building size. So definitely let's jump right in. When it comes to training legs, nothing beats barbell back squats. So in terms of popular exercises, this is it, y'all. So me and James are gonna take you through everything from what equipment needed, technique, proper form, give you some common mistakes as well as some tips. All right, so in terms of setup, obviously you need a barbell, y'all. We're doing barbell back squats. Couple of cautions though, I highly recommend you have safety arms or spotter arms just to protect you. Anytime you're moving any type of serious weight, you either want a spotter there or something that's gonna grab that weight and not let it hit the floor.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna push the limits with squats, be safe. Be safe. There's too many examples of people getting hurt doing heavy squats. Get your safety set up and don't hurt yourself.
Especially when you're learning form, a lot of times you just don't know what your limit is. Sometimes there's things not right with your technique of how you're approaching it, so you always want to be able to bail that weight just in case something doesn't feel right. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get into position. So you got to duck under the bar like James is doing, and you want to pick it up. Now, in terms of where to place this bar on your back, James has a high bar approach here, which is going to really help to emphasize quad development. So now if he were to drop this bar lower on his back, like right under these upper traps, this is gonna help emphasize more glute hamstring development. But for most people, I would say a high bar position is probably best. In terms of hand placement, you definitely want something wider than shoulder width. So here's his shoulders, you can see how wide he is. It's gonna be a natural position for you. You'll naturally just get up under there and place your arms where they're comfortable. So that's the easy part. All right, in terms of stance, you definitely want a stable stance. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick the camera up here. So you can see James's feet, he's got slightly wider than hip width there. They're probably about shoulder width. That's like his comfortable stance. And then one thing to point out too, you can see James's toes are facing straight, right? They're not cocked very far out. They're not pigeon-toed in. He's got nice neutral foot placement. All right, so with the bar up high on his back, he's gonna start his descent. So he's gonna let those hips come back. And then look, he can get pretty deep in the hole. All right, so a good rule of thumb here is we basically wanna be able to squat to at least 90 degrees. If you can go deeper, great. If you can't, don't beat yourself up. That's okay. That might come in time. Sometimes you just need more back mobility. But that's the typical stance, just like that. All right, so some common tips for this one. You want to make sure that you're not leaning excessively far forward. You want to keep your posture pretty upright, or as upright as you can, but you also don't want excessive arch in that back in order to do that. And that's where that mobility aspect comes into play.
Right, it's gonna have a lot to do with your flexibility and how you're built. If you're bending forward when you're doing a squat, you're pretty much good morning it as well as doing a squat. So you're gonna get a lot of lower back when really you wanna focus on your legs.
Yeah, another common thing that we see is the knees start to cave forward as you descend. So you want to make sure that you're actively pulling those knees back out and keeping them in a neutral position, not caving in.
Yeah, you see that one a lot.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes that's an indicator that you have a muscle imbalance. Like you might have really strong adductor, inner thigh muscles, and need to work on strengthening the outer portion of the thigh to keep those legs outward.
Yeah.
All right. And then just other common mistakes would be either squatting too shallow or trying to hit a depth that's probably too deep for you that will cause some type of other pain or discomfort.
Yeah. I mean, get your depth. Unless you're doing quarter reps, get your depth. And like you said earlier, at least 90.
Right.
You should go lower than 90, but at least at a minimum go to 90 degrees with your depth. If you're doing quarter reps, everybody's gonna look at you funny anyway. So make sure you get your depth, yeah.
Absolutely. And squats, like I said, are the king of leg day. They're working your calves, your hamstrings, your quads, your glutes, your lower back. I mean, it is working everything pretty much from the waist down.
King of legs.
Yeah, so if you want big legs, you gotta squat, y'all. If you want big glutes, you gotta squat, y'all. And just keep in mind, like where you have that bar on your back will elicit different reactions. If you want more quads, keep the bar high. You want more glutes, hamstrings, keep it a little lower on your back like we showed you.
And keep in mind, the lower you go on your back, you're gonna need more shoulder mobility. So if you have shoulder issues, I'd stick with a high squat.
Right. In fact, usually if there's any type of discomfort or something's not right, it's always a mobility issue. And that's something that you can work over time. Like you can Google it and research it, and there will be exercises and stretches to help you gain more mobility to improve your squat. So if it's not quite right, don't give up, keep working at it, you'll absolutely get it, but this is a staple when it comes to leg day.
She's right, and I'm gonna say it again. Keep doing it, stick with it, you will eventually get it right.
Right. All right, y'all. Up next, we have deadlifts, y'all. All right, so for today, we're actually gonna show you a different variation of the conventional deadlift. We're gonna do Romanian deadlifts. So if you checked out the other videos in our series, you know we included the conventional deadlift in the back exercises, but either way, they're a great one for the legs. The version we're gonna show you today is a little more hamstring and glute dominant, so definitely a leg exercise. So in terms of equipment, what do we need, James?
Barbell.
Barbell, it's that simple, y'all. Like you could use an easy bar, a traditional deadlift bar, just depends on how heavy you're trying to go, which if you've been following us for a while, you're definitely progressively overloading, so you need this traditional barbell so you can load up those weight plates.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, so let's get into the proper stance. James is gonna grab that bar, he's about shoulder width. He's gonna have a nice stable stance. All right, so to do the Romanian deadlift, he's gonna start to hinge at the hip with a slight bend in the knee, and he's gonna allow his hips to pull backwards, getting that deep stretch on the hamstring. And when he's about mid-shin, that should be max stretch on that hamstring, and then he'll come back up, squeezing the glutes at the top. All right, so you can see as he starts to pull these hips back, he gets that deep stretch on that hamstring right there. All right, so just like this. The key to this one is you're gonna wanna keep the bar still pretty close to your body. So right over the top of the shoelaces where they're tied. You don't want the bar really far out like by the toe. And yeah, you wanna make sure it's comfortable. Like don't scrape your shins up or anything like that. But yeah, those are some of the key dynamics for the Romanian deadlift.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great hamstring exercise. We tell you to stretch under load. Well, guess what? You're stretched and you're under load right here. Them hamstrings are stretched out and they're under load. And as soon as you start to pull up, they engage and pull the weight up. And she already said squeeze your glutes at the top, yeah.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, definitely have your feet about hip width, maybe slightly wider, whatever's comfortable for you. You don't want to topple over. You want that slight bend in the knees. You don't want a locked knee, y'all. That would be a common mistake, would be to lock your knees out completely.
It's going to hurt too, so don't do that.
Absolutely. And then one tip that I like, when you're all the way down in that stretched position, before I come back up, I like to tense my glutes and hamstrings. So it's like a verbal cue for me. I'll say flex. You know, and then I'll come up. That way I'm ensuring that those muscles are engaged and actively working for that raising part of the lift.
Good tip. Also, keep your back flat. A lot of mistakes, just round your back. You don't want to round your back. Keep it nice and flat.
Absolutely. So let's see James do it one more time. All right, so he's grabbed the bar. He's got a stable stance, slight bend in the knees, nice flat back. He's gonna hinge over at the hips, allowing the glutes to pull backwards slightly, just like this. Come up and squeeze down the hole, tense everything. Come up, squeeze. All right, there you have it, Romanian deadlifts. Next, we have leg extensions, y'all. So when it comes to quad isolation, nothing beats leg extensions. This is where you can really, like, the rubber meets the road. So put the work in and get those quads burning, y'all. All right, so you obviously need a leg extension machine. There's usually no shortage of these at the gym, but good luck getting on one. But in any case, you're gonna go ahead, sit down, hook your legs underneath the pad, and this is gonna take some trial and error. You're gonna have to adjust. So usually the leg extension machine adjusts at 2 places. This ankle pad and then the back pad that James is leaning on. So a good way to visually know whether your back pad is accurate or not is look at where the knee is in line with this cam of where it articulates. If your knee's in line with this, you're probably in a good spot. If you're too far forward or back, then you need to adjust this back pad in or out to move these knees in line with that cam.
That's a good tip for almost every machine out there, yo.
Right.
Line your joint up with the cam.
Absolutely. And in terms of ankle pad, go ahead and come up for me. You want this pad right over the ankle, right? You don't want it up on the foot and you don't want it up on the shin. It'll be very uncomfortable in both cases.
I got it too low.
Yeah.
That was on my foot.
All right. So the reason you want it up high is you want to be able to flex these toes backwards. So if you can't actively pull those toes towards you, your pad's probably not in the right position. So go ahead, there's usually some type of pop pin, pull it, adjust it, whatever you need. So check those 2 things before you get started. All right, another tip, James loves pointing it out. I can't believe he already didn't say it, but when you are in the relaxed position, you want tension on these quads.
Yep.
You don't want the machine to unload the weight. So just like that, yep, you want to make sure that it's not all the way rested when you're at the relax.
Listen for the clip. If you hear that, you're resting. You don't want to hear that.
Right. All right, so you can have, there's handles here, you can go ahead and hold those. The key to leg extensions, you want to keep the butt in the seat, y'all. So keep the butt back, make sure you're in this nice upright position. You're not like in a recliner. Right, and then we're gonna go ahead and slowly bring the legs up in that concentric phase. Keep these toes flexed, not pointed. So show them what pointed looks like, right? We want to actively pull these back, and go ahead, try this, y'all. You are gonna feel these quads 100% more when you pull those toes back.
Got it.
All right, so you're gonna come back down and back up. One of the mistakes here is ignoring the eccentric, the lowering portion, the negative portion of the rep. This is where muscles are made, y'all. So take your time lowering, keep those toes flexed the entire time, come up, and give it a good contraction at the top before descending.
Yeah, this is a burner, y'all. These handles are here so you can grab them while you're burning. You get through that burn.
And keep the butt in the seat.
And keep your butt in the seat. You want to pull the toes forward for max contract.
Right.
If your toes are pointed down, you can't max contract your quads, so you're missing out on firing muscle fibers, you're missing out on gains. So make sure you pull your toes back and squeeze.
Right. All right, come up for me. Couple things too, I'm just gonna help them out. Sometimes people have their feet way too wide or way too narrow, right? This will also elicit different parts of the quad. So if we want overall quad development, go ahead and place them right at hip width or just a hair wider. Another thing that people do sometimes is they will have toes pointed in, like pigeon-toed, right? We don't want to be pigeon-toed. We don't want them flared out excessively. Straight up, straight down, toes pulled back towards you. All right? All right, there you have it. So those are the common things and tips. Yeah, James's quad's got to be on fire right now.
It's gonna burn, yo. Get ready. This is the burner. It isolates the quads, and you're gonna be on fire.
Right.
If you do it right, they're gonna be on fire.
And I should have pointed out before, you really want to make sure you're doing 6 to 12 of these reps if hypertrophy is your goal and gaining muscle size.
Oh yeah.
So you want to make sure you pick a weight that you can get that rep range. But one thing I'll say, there's nothing that burns quite like leg extensions. Like I can get a good burn at 20 pounds, but obviously my quads are stronger than that, y'all. So I really challenge you to get outside of your comfort zone. Load up that weight. The way you know that it's too heavy is you can't get max contraction.
Right.
You're like somewhere shallow in the range of motion, and then you know. But just relying on that burn to give you that indicator of how much weight, that will lie to you every single time. Your quads will be like, oh no, we don't need any weight, Camille. So go ahead and use the full range of motion as your indicator on what weight to use.
Right, and just like any other exercise, if you can't get that contraction, you're too heavy. Right. Lighten it up. That's not the problem most of the time. Most of the time people are going too light, so make sure you're going heavy enough.
All right, so quad isolation, leg extensions, y'all. All right, if you guessed leg curls was next, you would be great. So just like the leg extension, leg curls are a great hamstring isolator, y'all. So very similar kind of machine that you use for this. Again, you've got a back adjustment, you've got an ankle pad adjustment. Same thing, we want to look at the knee position relative to the cam. So one of the things that, you know, he could probably do with coming out this way a little more, but you can also just adjust, we're gonna adjust there. Go ahead and adjust your back pad. We didn't show them that last time. So there's usually some type of pop pin or lever. He's gonna push it slightly forward. All right, so he should be right in the right spot. So yep, his knee's a lot better aligned with this cam. All right, so this one, if you're doing seated leg curl, will have some kind of lat pad. So I see a lot of people try to do leg curls. Go ahead and try to do a leg curl without your thighs secure. Your hips start floating. It's really hard to even articulate at this knee because you don't have any counter resistance on your lat. So go ahead and drop that pad.
Yeah, you could probably do lightweight without dropping the pad, but if you do any kind of weight, you're not gonna be able to do it without dropping this pad and locking yourself in.
Right, so go ahead and smush your thighs in there, and now you can create that tension and flex at the knee to stretch and squeeze that hamstring. All right, so just like the other machine, this is lined, actually that looks a little high for you now. Does it look a little high for you?
You move the seat up.
Yeah, I can't adjust that. He's gonna have to, there you go. There we go. Always stop and adjust, y'all. Like a lot of times people, for whatever reason, get intimidated to try to adjust the machine.
Get it right.
You can't, like you have to stop what you're doing and adjust it. Don't just like, oh, James got off it, I'm gonna hop on and do it now. Like, I'm a lot shorter than him and I have different ratios, so it's not gonna be right. So take the time and get it right.
And it feels right when you're set up right. If you're not set up right, it doesn't feel right.
Right, absolutely. Toe position, so just keep the feet neutral, just straight up and straight down. Again, don't point the toes in, don't cock them out, keep them straight up, straight down as you pull backwards, just like that. And you really want to pull this pad all the way back, almost to like the bottom out position. Hold it for a split second and then release. And so that's really hard, y'all. You're gonna have to probably lighten the weight if you're gonna hit that full range of motion and contraction.
Yeah. You also want to try to keep your calves out of this. It's gonna be hard. Your calves are gonna want to contract. Get the mind to muscle, keep your calves relaxed, and only contract the hamstrings.
You know, it's a good point. In fact, if your toes are pointed, your calves are contracted. So if you're trying to get the calves out of it, you really want those toes in that flex position or neutral. Like not overly flexed, because then you're gonna be working these shins. Just keep them kind of soft and relaxed in that position there. Just like that. All right, y'all, so definitely seated leg curl is the way to go. You know, in terms of seated leg curl, kneeling or lying, the seated leg curl has probably got the most bang for the buck. In fact, we've got other videos that talk about the three, but I would definitely recommend, especially if you're just getting started, I would go with this seated leg curl.
Absolutely. Big mistake I see is people don't go back far enough.
Right.
They go to here, but you still got more range of movement all the way back there. Then squeeze. Don't do a half rep and squeeze. Go all the way back, max contract, and then squeeze.
Absolutely. All right, y'all, seated leg curl. All right, the next exercise we have for you is a dumbbell lunge. It doesn't get more basic than this, y'all. So for this one, you just need a set of dumbbells. You want to probably start pretty light to moderate. You wouldn't want to go super heavy right away. And so we're going to do the most basic variation of the lunge, which is a forward lunge. So James is going to take a step forward, right? And he's going to lunge down just like this. Now, in order to do this with proper form, we want to make sure that that knee is not pitching forward at the toe. It needs to be behind the toe. And so that is what dictates how wide your lunge stance is. So it might be some trial and error for you to figure that out, but once you figure it out, you'll be able to automatically go into that width.
Yeah. It's a pretty natural lunge. You will have to adjust a little bit, but pretty much it's a natural step. Boom.
Right. So sometimes people have discomfort on this leg that remains backwards. It's that stretching over the quad. So maybe it's some kind of flexibility issue that people might have that you need to work out in order to be comfortable, or even a hip mobility sometimes can be an issue. But give it a try. Just take a step forward, do it one more time. Come down. In terms of depth, you can go ahead and touch your knee to the floor.
Yep.
Right? You don't want to smash your knee into the floor, so
Just
definitely control that descent. But yeah, so going too shallow would be a common thing I would see a lot as well.
That's the biggest mistake. You see the half lunges, the quarter lunges, right? You're not doing much like this, right?
Right.
Make sure you get your range of motion in there.
Yeah, you also want to keep the torso upright. The more you lean forward, the more hamstring and glute you're going to recruit. So keeping that upright posture if you want the quad development.
Yeah, different exercise if you start leaning forward.
All right, so do a couple more for us. Now, if you're just getting started, I would probably alternate. Once you get more advanced, if you need more stimulus, I would do all like 6 to 12 on the same leg before switching to the next.
Yeah, good tip.
But there you go. All right, that is the forward dumbbell lunge, y'all. All right, y'all, let's cap this video. So today we took you through some of the most popular leg exercises. We showed you what equipment you needed, proper form. We went through common mistakes and gave you some pointers and tips. All right, so we start with the barbell back squat. Yes, the king of all leg exercises. So the key with this one is maintaining a good upright posture, no excessive lean, making sure those knees don't cave inward, and making sure your feet are nice and stable, hip width, toes pointed straight ahead.
Yeah, y'all, we said it earlier. It's the king of leg exercises. Stick with it until you master it. It's one of the fundamentals of bodybuilding. Master the fundamentals. Squat is one of the fundamentals. Master the fundamentals.
And remember, if you have some kind of discomfort, something's not right, it's probably a flexibility or a mobility issue. So take the time and correct whatever that is, and then come back and execute it.
Stick with it. Keep working on it.
But yeah, for whatever reason, this one is one of the most intimidating ones for a beginner to do. You don't have to be intimidated. Just get the equipment set up, make sure you have a spotter or some kind of safety arm to catch that weight, and then go ahead and give it a try. All right, from there we moved on to Romanian deadlifts.
Yeah.
Remember, it doesn't matter whether it's conventional deadlifts or Romanian, both will hit legs. For the purposes of this video, we chose Romanian. It's a little more glute hamstring dominant, so definitely legs. But with that one, the key there is the nice flat back and allowing those hips to pull backwards in order to elicit that stretch on the hamstring.
Absolutely. Make sure you're stretched under load, y'all. Don't stop short. Get a good stretch on the hamstring.
And remember, we're doing it with the barbell so we can load up those weights. You have to progressively overload. Otherwise, why are you at the gym? No one's there to remain the same, y'all. Like, we're here for growth. So it's got to be painful. You got to put the work in. So add those weight plates to the barbell, absolutely. All right, from there, we moved into some isolation work. We started with the leg extension for the quads. Number one thing there is the setup. Take the time, adjust that back pad, adjust the ankle pad, make sure you fit into the machine is number one.
Yep. And bring those toes up, max contract.
Absolutely. Yep, so toes pulled back, no pigeon toed, no flared toed. Keep them straight up, straight down. Get those quads burning, y'all. And remember, your quads will lie to you and say that it's heavy enough. It's not heavy enough. The only good way to gauge whether you have the right weight is the range of motion and if you can hit full contraction at the top.
Good tip.
All right, from there we move to our second isolation, the hamstring curl. All very similar tips to the leg extension. Just make sure you're doing what? Pulling it all the way back.
All the way back. Another good tip is think of your hamstring as your bicep.
Yeah.
When you curl it up, squeeze just like you would flex your bicep, only it's your hamstring. Curl it up and then squeeze that hamstring under load.
Absolutely. All right, from there we finish with another kind of compound. I just said that twice. Move. We did the forward lunge, y'all, with the dumbbells.
It is unilateral, so it's 2 legs.
Yes.
So it is compound.
There you go. Thanks. He helped me out there. But yes, grab a set of dumbbells. Maybe start light at first. You want to step forward. Just make sure your knee's not pitching forward of the toe. Keep it behind the toe. And then go ahead and get that deep depth by tapping the knee ever so slightly on the floor, and then stand up back to returning position.
Yeah, lunges are underrated, y'all. They're a great exercise. They will build size and strength. So get your lunges on if you want some big lift.
I mean, everybody remembers Ronnie Coleman with the barbell in the parking lot hitting them traveling lunges, y'all.
Oh.
Yes, so they are definitely a nasty one that you should work into your routine.
100%.
All right, well, there you have it. We took you through 5 great leg exercises, undoubtedly some of the most popular ones.
Common.
Yeah, absolutely. We showed you everything that you need to know about them. And thank you, Keenan, for the request.
Oh, man.
Y'all, we love getting video requests from you. So if there's anything you would like to know more about, we'd be happy to film that for you.
Yes, please
Yes.
send it.
And then make sure you tune in every Sunday, 12 Eastern. Me and James are live. It's your opportunity to ask us any questions and get those answers in real time. All right, y'all, for more videos like this one, definitely check out our leg playlist. And until next time, James and Camille,